Hey, y'all, it's your girl Claudia Jordan, and we are back with TGIF. We're here to spill the tea and break down the biggest headlines in the news and on social media. So sit back, relax, and get ready to sip this hot tea. Please welcome Al Reynolds. What's up, Al?
Hey, what's going on, Claudia? What's going on, soulmates?
All right. And what's up, Armand Wiggins? Hello.
Hey, everybody, what's popping?
Is that new birthday hair? Is that what's been under the
New
hat?
cut, new color. Yes, I'm feeling real golden today.
Okay. And your birthday is on the 3rd, right?
Yes, on June 3rd. So I'm celebrating all week this week and next week. You know how we do. Geminis, we do it kind of crazy. So it's gonna be
Oh.
fun.
Are you one of those people that celebrate for the whole month?
No, just for the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. All right. Well, are you drinking tonight? You or Al, either one of y'all drinking?
No, I have an early flight in the morning, so no drinking tonight.
Absolutely. I'm doing Casamigos and ginger ale.
That's my drink right there.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think that's what I'm having.
I was gonna wait till I got to Aruba tomorrow, but I just couldn't wait. So I got some vodka and simply lemonade. So okay, that's gonna be that kind of show. We'll see what happens. Let's get into these topics. Dr. Umar Johnson chimed in regarding the 2016 footage of Diddy beating Cassie. Dr. Umar said, "We have far more important issues to address than what happened 10 years ago. This isn't the end for Diddy. TD Jakes will help him set up his own mega church. He will be saved and baptized, and he will probably make more money as a pulpit pimp than he has ever as a mogul. Puffy will rise from the ashes." All right, folks online are claiming that Dr. Umar is being sarcastic. Do you find it distasteful either way? Al, what do you think?
No, listen, he's not being sarcastic. He's being realistic. The only thing that I thought that was distasteful was what he said about, we got better things to do than talk about what happened 10 years ago. That I didn't like, Dr. Umar, and let me share with you why. When a woman finds the courage to come forward and take down an individual like Diddy in the way that Cassie has, to watch that video and for us to feel the pain that she's experienced for the number of years, almost 10 years that she was with him, I can't allow you to diminish or marginalize her feelings and what that means to Black women who have all gone through that experience, which is horrific. And there are a lot of women who could lean into that experience. So to me, Cassie should be actually praised for her courage and her strength. Now, as it relates to Diddy, he's absolutely right. One thing that I've said in this particular case is Diddy is admired. Diddy is still liked. His music is still liked. So what happens in the case with talents who go through this type of turmoil, if they really want to resuscitate their career and come back in some type of form, they usually gravitate towards the church. And I said this before, when you're going through this type of public lynching that is well deserved, one thing that you should do is you should definitely go to rehab. You should definitely go to therapy, and you should definitely rededicate your life to Christ and ask for forgiveness. I think the sarcastic part that entered into the conversation was when he called him a pulpit pimp. I don't necessarily know that that's going to evolve, but definitely we will see Diddy all of a sudden gravitate back to the church, ask for forgiveness, because that's the space in which forgiveness is given.
All right, Armand, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think he was being sarcastic, but I also feel like there's a little truth in every joke. And I feel like the truth in the joke for me was the fact that, TD Jakes will help Diddy get into a spiritual lane, and then he'll make money off of that and become a pulpit pimp. And here's the thing. Remember, I said this yesterday. I was like, I don't know what Diddy will be able to do to come back from this other than be a spiritual guru. So I feel like that's the only way he can do it. But at the same time, I think that it's far too late in the game in his career to go that route and for people to follow him. It's just too late. Like this was supposed to happen maybe 10, 15 years ago. Then he would be able to resuscitate into a spiritual guru by the age of 50, 54. You get what I'm saying? But it's going to take some time for people to buy into that. So I don't know if people are going to be willing to, follow Diddy, the spiritualist, around 60. You know what I mean?
I took that as, yeah, I don't know if he's being sarcastic. I think he was just kind of calling it like it is, like how our society be on some BS. All you got to do is pretend that you have found the Lord. I'm sorry, a person that is anywhere near the Lord wouldn't be doing all the stuff that Diddy did. And I'm not with this. I can be an evil person for 48, 49, 50 some years of my life. Then all of a sudden I get busted, and now I love the Lord. I think that's the fiber of your being. The Lord doesn't live there. That is more like Satan and the devil, and I stand on that. Now, people gonna say, Claudia, you're supposed to be able to forgive. No, the church can forgive. I'm not the church, so I'm not, and I just feel like I just don't like how easy some people make it for folks to like just go through the confession and say I'm sorry and drop a bag, and now we're supposed to start fresh. No, because this is who you are, Diddy. This is who you are. And it's not just Cassie. We've been hearing about this kind of stuff for years. Shine did a whole bid in jail for you shooting another woman in the face, allegedly, but it's not really alleged because she's the one that said you shot her. So outside of beating women down, rape allegations, sex trafficking allegations, shooting someone in the face, letting your boy take the bid, there's a lot of evil things that he's been doing. And I'm sorry, if people in the church are so quick to take him back with open arms, if that makes you feel good at night, that's good for y'all. Never. I guess.
But let me ask you this though, because in the spiritual space, sometimes it takes you to be stripped down of everything, broken down. And then you have to build yourself back up. So at this point, he may have never found God because he was serving another master and felt invincible. Right. So most people end up finding God through crisis and being broken down. So are we fair to really judge in that space? Because when are you supposed to find them?
Oh, I'm not being fair at all. I know I'm not being fair. I know I'm not being Christ-like. I know I'm not being a good Christian. I admit to all of that. And y'all can judge me for that. I'm okay with that. I'm just saying I'm like on some Cardi, it's forever for me. But that's just me. That's not y'all. That's not Foxhole. That is me. I'm just like, L. Caldwell said, is this distasteful and dismissive of Cassie. Stop capping for Diddy. Umar is an idiot. Our dog said, if it does happen, it will be on the Black community collectively to reject Diddy's transparent attempt to be saved. As hard as it will be, enough is enough. And so D'Angelo, one of our VIPs, says, why the hell do we keep listening to Dr. Umar? He's like a broken clock, only right twice a year. And Audrey Williams says, stay in Bali, Diddy. Okay, I don't know. All right, Amber Rose surprised many of her followers after publicly endorsing Donald Trump. Amber posted a photo of herself posing next to Donald Trump and Melania with the caption, Trump 2024. Now, social media was not having it. Someone wrote, imagine being an advocate for women's rights and endorsing Trump and his party who reversed Roe versus Wade. Wild. Another person wrote, unfollow with the quickness. He is against everything I thought you stood for. Bye, girl. Armand, what do you think?
First of all, I just think that, I understand that person's perspective of like, okay, how do you stand for women's rights and you're voting for Trump? But I also feel like, people should have the right to vote for whoever they want to vote for. It's a free country. So we shouldn't really care. We shouldn't be so upset if other people want to vote for Trump. There are going to be Black people that vote for Trump. There are going to be women that vote for Trump. There are going to be gays that vote for Trump. And to be honest, in Amber Rose's case, perhaps, women's rights are not as important as other things that Trump represents to her. And so that's probably why she's voting for Trump. And I just think that that's her prerogative.
Which is crazy to me because, listen, I love Amber Rose. I am a fan of hers. But the woman that was the founder of the Slut Walk and talking about, claiming the word and our bodies and having agency over our bodies, and that being such a major part of her platform, and then also being an ally, I believe, of the LGBTQ plus community. These are all the things that Trump stands against. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just don't understand people that continue to vote against their best interests of things that affect them, the lives of people that are close to them and their sisters. Al, what do you think?
Amber. Amber Rose, and I talk very highly and supportive of her here on the show. Whenever we're out on the carpets, Amber supports Fox Soul. She stops and talks, and she gives us time. This is what I'm going to say. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because everything that I thought she stood for as it relates to women's rights, this is the contradictory of that. However, let's talk about it. most of the women that voted for Trump in the first election knew his stance on women's rights, and they still came out to the polls and supported him more than almost as much as white men, which was very like crazy to me. So Amber Rose isn't doing anything that a large portion of women didn't do in the other election with Trump. For some reason, they find themselves attracted to his messaging. They find themselves attracted to his power, and they find themselves attractive to his administration and the things that he's going to focus on. I can't think in my head why any woman would ever vote for a man that wants to take your ability and your rights from you and your body. That makes no sense to me. And especially being that Amber Rose, of all people, with the slut walk, was an advocate for all things women's rights. But the disconnect is the same. It's the same as it was for the 2020 election, correct? Was it the 2020? No. The one before that. And then it's the one that's leading in the poll right now. Women are showing up more for Donald Trump than they ever have in the past, and it's sad to say the least.
I'm going to just correct you on one thing. Yeah, women did come out for Donald Trump, and his support did go up. White women, 53%.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
Yeah, 53% of white women came out for Donald Trump. 96% of Black women came out for the Democratic Party and continue to be a very, very solid. So with this conversation, right? And remember, Amber was on College Hill and her and Jocelyn got into that big old fight. And I hate that it makes Jocelyn, like people started to say, oh, was Jocelyn right about her Blackness? But I'm not going to take her Blackness away from her. But I'm just saying, I hate that was like definitely trending all week. I will say this, she is standing with the other side on this one. Amber, come on back home, sis. Like, come on. He's not really, I understand he has charm. Trust me. I used to be his friend and I used to see a very charming thing. And I do not like the way Joe Biden is handling Gaza. I actually hate the way he's handling that. But I have to think about domestically, a lot of stuff that we have to deal with, the aftermath, the temperature of the country got so awful and people are forgetting the country was on fire. We were stuck in our house on lockdown. And the gas prices were low because we couldn't drive anywhere and there was a huge surplus. It wasn't because he had it so popping, y'all. When you really break it down to why things were the way they were, you got to look into the why.
Let me ask you this. What is the difference between being a white woman and a Black woman? To me, they're both women. So whether there were 53% white women voting or Black women voting, at the end of the day, women went out and voted for Trump. And he's taking women's rights from them. So I don't think the color really matters. And I think when we start getting into the colors, that's when people are like, well, just because I'm Black, I don't have to be Democratic.
No, you don't
have to vote Democrat.
You don't, but I would prefer that if Black people were going to lead the party, then they would support a more central kind of candidate like a Mitt Romney. Like a John Kasich, like the former governor of Ohio that had some common sense. Trump is more of a cult leader than a regular Republican. Even he's more radical than the most conservatives of the party because he's playing to them. Trump used to be a very liberal Democrat, the things he used to stand for the people, for women's rights, for, giving back. And then he jumped ship when he became a Republican. He said, if I ever ran for office, I would run as a Republican because their followers are so stupid, they'll believe anything I have to say. So there's some Republicans that I rock with that I actually like. But like this is not one of them because I feel like he's not one in his core. I feel like he's playing a caricature. He started with how he was pandering to the Tea Party back in the day. And then, this whole Obama's not a citizen thing. He's playing on the fears. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we should just turn our noses at every Republican. The governor of Pennsylvania is actually a very light governor by a very left-leaning state because he's not a moron. He's not an idiot. And he's not crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's just like.
So, Amon, the significance of white women supporting Trump is the hierarchy of power and influence in the country. So white women usually find themselves in support of Trump because more Black women are in support of the Democratic candidate. And you have to understand that the race does matter. Unfortunately, they would rather support someone that will rip them of all their rights than to support someone that uplifts people of color and especially women of color, i.e. selecting a Black woman as the vice president. So you got to understand the psychology that's going on. So the fact that more than half of white women are voting for Trump isn't speaking to his influence, it's speaking to their disdain of the uplifting of Black women and Black people in general.
And they're just listening to what their raggedy white husbands are telling them to do. Well, you better get in that booth and vote for our boy. You know, again, if Trump was the person that I used to know him to be before he became radicalized, I think he'd actually be a really good president because he has some sense. This caricature that he's playing is what I don't like. But the person,
So what I'm hearing, it sounds like, it's more of a racial undertone versus women's rights. So, but on our side, the black side, we're like focused on LGBT, women's rights, and this, and they're like, we don't care about that stuff. Whether we're gay, whether we're women, we're still going to vote Trump because we feel he made a better economy for us, and we don't care about you stripping us from our rights, or you not liking gay people, or whatever the case may be. And us on this end, we're like, well, we're here for our rights, and we're here because we're gay, and we our feelings. That's what it sounds like. That's what you guys are saying.
the Democrats have been
It's a
known
little bit more deeper than that, but I see what you're saying.
Are more for social issues, more for they're more liberal. That's why they're called liberals, right? They're more liberal with their views. So like how the church would look down upon members of the community, right? The gay community, right? The Democrats are like, there's a home for you here. We accept you. We're Republicans. Well, evangelists are the ones that be like, no, that's dirty, that's terrible, that's bad, that's against God. Meanwhile, they all playing footsie in men's bathrooms and trying to molest boys on the low. They just don't do it out loud. Where, we're gonna get deeper into this as we get close to the election. And I like that you're asking these questions, Armand. And I don't think it's naive of you. I'm glad you are, because you represent people out there that have similar questions. And we should have these conversations, not shun these opinions. I think this is good. Okay, let's go. And coming up next, Kid Rock's racist outburst. And later, is there such thing as too high a body count, and what is the number? Keep it here. We're going to get all in your business when we come back. We'll be back.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
We are chopping it up with the host of Marriage Boot Camp, Dr. Ish Major. Welcome to the show.
TGIF.
When you and I sit down and have a heart-to-heart with no phones, no distraction, am I your person? That's the question.
Every weekday.
Kelly says, I love Ish on my screen. Is he single, asking for a friend?
Join the chat.
I am single, Kelly. Who's the friend?
Kelly, who's the friend? Please comment back.
On Fox Soul.
This one's for the real ballers and shot callers. The sisterhood of women in tech. They're discovering cures, building apps, and programming the blockchain. They're CEOs, worldwide hustlers who can make it rain. They're tearing down the old boys club and seeing big gains. Because when women in tech come together, you know they make that change.
My mom wanted my life to be better than what she had as a kid. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. You always want the next generation to have something better than what you had.
Welcome back to TGIF. Fellas, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, I think we need to have these kind of conversations where we're not all on one accord, because it helps move the conversation. There's people that probably think like either one of us on the show, like they think like Armand, they think like Al, they think like me. And if we just sat here and all we're in agreement all the time, I think there'd be no learning from the show, and there'd be no cooler, like water cooler conversations the next day. And I think we need to have more of these conversations, because why not? We need to. So we appreciate y'all, and I love that y'all are having quite the lively discussion in the chat as well. All right. Kid Rock is facing some wild accusations now. The musician is being accused of waving a handgun at a Rolling Stone journalist during a recent interview about politics and the history of the Republican Party. Kid Rock allegedly said the N-word and other racial slurs while referring to certain groups of people. Does this behavior from Kid KKK Rock shock you, Al?
Hell yes, of course it does. Let me tell you what shocks me the most. Kid Rock has a biracial daughter who's absolutely beautiful, by the way. Her name is Sky, and he dealt with her mother, for quite a bit of time on and off in the 90s. So he should definitely, of anybody, have sensitivity around the N-word. Duh. But you got to understand, Kid Rock is also a Trump supporter. Kid Rock has also been problematic and weird. Remember when he attacked Beyonce in 2015, where he said he didn't understand what type of impact her music would make in the industry in his Rolling Stone interview, as well as saying he didn't understand why she was so widespread popular, and he felt that it was, quote, racially motivated. So Kid Rock, kick rocks, okay? That comes from me. Kick rocks and do better, because I want to know, A, what does the woman that you laid with for many years say about your usage of the N-word? And B, what does your daughter say about the usage of the N-word? I think you should start there and then come back to me.
Say this, I will not give him a pass because it has a biracial daughter, because plenty of slave masters have biracial daughters. Plenty of white rapists have biracial daughters. Plenty of people with black girl fetishes have biracial daughters and sons.
I didn't say give him a pass.
I'm not saying you are. I'm not. This ain't to you, Al. This ain't to you. This ain't to you. This ain't to you. This is the Kid Rock. I'm just saying the narrative a lot of times is, well, he has a black kid, so, he gets a pass. No, sir, because you've done a lot of problematic stuff over the years. And I used to actually rock with Kid Rock and think he was one of the cool guys, but he's actually not. The last few, I think the last decade, his racist card, a slip, has been showing. And he's been showing more and more and more that he's not a nice person. And I think he has zero sensitivities to the feelings of his family, which is his daughter, and the feelings of people that have supported him, which are a lot of black folks used to really rock with Kid Rock. But he's been saying a lot of problematic things, and you should know better, Kid KKK Rock, to have that N-word come out your mouth at an event with a gun in your hand. You're doing way too much, sir. You need to simmer on down. Okay, Umar, what you think about this story?
Yeah, for me, I think that, first of all, I'm not shocked. And I think that this is when it becomes dangerous for Trump and his messaging and for him to be elected, because this is the undertone or the undercurrent of the audience that he's truly speaking to, like the Kid Rocks. I'm not really worried about the business professional so much on that side, but it's kind of like that redneck black person hater that will be in an interview, throwing their gun around, yelling out the N-word. The real undertone racist. The hardcore racist, that is the core that Trump really speaks to and ignites them and gets them excited. So that's the dangerous part for me of Trump being elected, because you'll have more people like Kid Rock manifest. Those are those radicals that we have to watch out for. And it felt like, he was getting some pushback in that interview, and he was like, I got guns everywhere and F these N-words. Those are the people that we should be worried about. And so I'm not shocked, but it's very dangerous.
Miss Keita Johnson said, Kid Rock better watch his behind in Detroit. Lamone Music said he'd been pandering to black folks since he came out. And Beautiful Soul said, makes me think that Kid Rock would even disown his own daughter because she's half black. And Dr. Larry Speaks Truth said, stop inviting these people to the cookout. Oh, one last thing. Alec W. said, it's surprising. He's supposed to be best friends with Rev Run. Listen, we got to stop being like, oh, some of my best friends are black, and therefore I am not possible of saying problematic things. That is like what a lot of people do. They may get one or two people that kind of qualifies them to, oh, I'm not racist because I have the one friend over here or whatever. That doesn't mean anything. They may like that one, right? But how do you feel as a whole? How do you feel as a whole? Because you over here doing that in public like that, there's certain words we know we cannot say, who get canceled, especially like of example, the Jewish community. Done, show canceled, pull the plug, lights out, we done, right? But they feel so comfortable with this N-word in crowds, audiences, television. It's really getting on my nerves. It really is. Okay. Lizzo recently showed off her new jawline. She posted a before and after clip of how her face has changed and slimmed down since using a gua sha shade tool for 1 year, whatever that is. Okay. Do you think this is truly the work of what is it? Gua sha? I don't know what that is. Or is it Ozempic? Al, what do you think?
I think the shade is real. So I got to be honest. I have had this treatment. I had it when I was in the Maldives years ago, and it's absolutely amazing. It does improve circulation. It does reduce inflammation, and it is an excellent. Think of it as yoga for your face. So it has multiple benefits. Increase, it reduces tension, all the above, right? However, that face and that chin had a significant shift. And I think that it's probably a combination of a couple of things, whether it's her dieting and this type of facial or this Asian healing technique. But I don't think that that chin and the way it was reshaped and the beautiful glow of her face is just this particular technique.
Well, how do you say it? I know I'm saying it wrong, right?
I always say gua sha.
Gua sha. So what is it? Is it like
that?
Is it like the ultrasound machine?
No, it's they use rocks. At least when I had it, y'all got to look it up. When I
So
had
they
it,
use rocks and do what?
So they use rocks. They use rocks, and they basically use the rocks to stimulate the skin. And it's also done like you can do it with warm rocks, hot rocks, or not. You can also, I think people use sand, and I think that's what the word means is rocks and sand. But it's a technique that the way that you infuse the circulation or the blood circulation to the skin and all the mad and musk and all that other stuff.
So it's natural.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, no, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. So she definitely got a shot, or there's a little chin lipo there for me.
Yeah.
There's something there that's been enhanced cosmetically, and then she used that to maintain. But that did not kick it off. Now, Ozempic, I feel like I don't know anything about Ozempic, but I feel like you lose drastic amount of weight on that. So I don't know, Claudia, you said you've taken Ozempic before, so
I did it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that it wouldn't just be there; it'd be like a all over kind of thing. So for me, I feel like she had a little chin lipo, or she had some shots under there, to really get things going. And then I'm not saying she didn't use the gouache or whatever that is, but that was more of a maintenance technique, later on down the line. But she definitely set it up.
I will say that she said she's been doing it for the course of 12 months. So I'm still leaning in on the fact that the healthiness, the perkiness, the lifting of the skin, you can definitely see that. But I don't think you can lift the fat underneath the chin too. I that to me seems quite a bit for this particular technique.
And for that amount of weight.
You go on,
let's be honest.
Amon don't let nobody live.
No, I'm just saying, if it was you or I, then maybe, you're on the gouache, kind of stuff. But Lizzo Lizzo's obese. So at that moment, you're not going to tell me you took rocks and sand in China for a year and all of a sudden you have no chin. If that was the case, we all would be doing that. Plastic surgeons would be out of business. If all I needed was some sand, take me to the closest beach.
Is China in East Asia?
I mean, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I know rocks and sand ain't doing that.
This is a tough one, but I think you might be on to something, Umar.
Listen, sign me up, because I did a whole bunch of stuff. I was getting a double chin myself. I've been very transparent. I got on Ozempic. I did it 3 times. 3 times I got on Ozempic because I gained the weight back because I was craving sugar. So I had to also do the next time I did, I had to get off sugar as well. And then but I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I also had 2 treatments on my face. And you know what? I think it's time for me to be honest with y'all. So I had filler in my face for years. Like I had these lines right here, right? And I had surgery on my toes and my teeth in 1 month twice. So I had antibiotics. I had this really weird reaction where my face got super big and ridiculous. Everyone's like, stop messing with your face. I'm like, that's really not what happened. So for the past year and a half, I went to 6 different doctors, and all they would do to fix, it made this line super deep. They would just give me more filler. They thought they would just, so anyways, my face got bigger and bigger and I looked nuts. My face was sagging and I had a double chin. I finally went to a doctor that actually said, I'm going to stop just giving you filler. We're going to address the problem. She did an ultrasound on my face and saw that all those times I went to got filler, it had migrated and was dragging my face down and this. So they dissolved all the fillers out of my face and then did a tightening procedure that tightened up my jaw. So I'm not doing filler anymore. They took it all out of my face. So I don't know. I don't think Lizzo had filler before, but I do think she did a combination of things. I do think that Gustavo, whatever that stuff is with the sand and the rock. What did you say it was, Armand? Sand and rocks and water?
Well, Al said it was sand and rocks. In East Asia.
It's good, child.
Kusha. Okay, I think maybe she's lost some weight, right? And she had
Yeah.
and you also can do Kybella. You get a shot there. I heard it really makes you real swole and then it goes
Yes.
down.
I've done that.
I heard that really hurts too.
Yeah, it was very difficult for me. You have to go back multiple times, but shout out to my dermatologist, Dr. Janine Downey. She talked me into doing that. And it
Did
does
that
work,
work?
but it works. It works. I'm telling you,
I'm
it
feeling a little
works.
double chinny myself.
No, it works because it makes the skin go back up, but you have to do a sequence of shots. So you can't
And
just
it's like
do one.
$600 a shot, huh?
Yeah.
6, 8, yeah.
It takes a lot.
I looked into it. Listen, I love a good procedure.
Hey, High Society said Armand is right. I've been going gua sha for years and it doesn't melt fat away. It only lifts and drains the lymphatic system.
Right.
Hey, I'm not mad at her. Anyone that's getting rid of a double chins, once you get them, that double chins and fat arms will make you look old. So I am not mad at her.
But I just think that people need to stop lying when they, it's almost like, okay, you went and got your 360 lipo, you got your BBL, or you've got your lipo on your chin, and then it's like you're working out or you're doing the goo wash, and you try to act like, this is all I've been doing. No, you've set the foundation with some cosmetic procedures first, and now you're maintaining the structure, but they don't tell you the part that they've got some work done to get it all set up.
Right. Well, I think because people are still mean about it. I remember when I was going through my stuff and my face was all swollen from, trying to figure it out. And they was like thinking I was pregnant, which I'm like, how? And then they were like, you're getting shots. And I wasn't. I was trying to get the stuff out. And it was like, I already felt bad about myself. So to get soulmates in the chat while I'm trying to do a live show and then me look over and be like, damn, she's fat. She fell out her face. It does make you feel like crap. So I think when you get to your result, then you're okay. Like, you know what, guys? I did it because it worked out, right?
It worked out, yeah.
If it didn't work out, I'll still be saying I wouldn't do nothing. I'm just saying. All right, coming up next, we have some body count related news to share. And later, it seems like people will never stop acting up on airplanes. Oh my God, please don't act up when we both leave tomorrow. We'll be right back.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out.
We are chopping it up with the host of Marriage Bootcamp, Dr. Ish Major. Welcome to the show.
TGIF.
When you and I sit down and have a heart-to-heart with no phones, no distraction, am I your person? That's the question.
Every weekday.
Kelly says, I love Ish on my screen. Is he single, asking for a friend?
Join the chat.
I am single, Kelly. Who's the friend?
Kelly, who's the friend? Please comment back.
On Fox Soul.
This one's for the real ballers and shot callers, the sisterhood of women in tech. They're discovering cures, building apps, and programming the blockchain. They're CEOs, worldwide hustlers who can make it rain. They're tearing down the old boys club and seeing big gains. Because when women in tech come together, you know they make that change.
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him. He's got to come home with me. Now I'm anything but lonely. Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
Welcome back to TGIF. All right, y'all, listen, we got the hookup for y'all and to make your life just a little bit easier. All right, y'all. You know when you get cornered by that aunt at a family gathering and you feel like you have to bend the truth? You know, the one who asks when you're getting married or what's going on with that promotion or why you still haven't moved out of mom and dad's basement, only for her to not really listen and just judge you. While you may have to grin and bear it with your family, you shouldn't feel that way when talking to your doctor about that rash that really looks like your high school crush. that you maybe eat pizza one too many times a week or something else. Enter ZocDoc, the place where you can find and book doctors who will make you feel comfortable and actually listen to you. And we're not talking about a few. We're talking about tens of thousands of doctors, all with verified patient reviews, so you can make sure the vibes are vibing before you ever meet in real life. With ZocDoc, you've got more options than you know. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments with them. I think ZocDoc is fantastic, especially a lot of us are moving. We're on the run a lot. Well, not on the run. We're on the go a lot and relocating. A lot of times, like when you go to a new city, you're like, okay, I got to start all over again with a doctor. Who do I go to? So go to ZocDoc.com/T and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/T, ZocDoc.com/T. Al, what are your thoughts about ZocDoc?
Hey, so obviously, I love ZocDoc. ZocDoc helped me with my move from New York City to Los Angeles. When I didn't have a doctor, I found it. But let me tell you, this is a season for traveling. Everyone's out of school. So some of you are going to be going on vacation. Some of you are going to be following your kids in AAU. So this is the app that you need in order to find doctors where you are. So when you're traveling and you get sick, you can use ZocDoc to find the local doctor to help treat you. Remember, they also take insurance, which is also a plus here, and you don't have to worry about that added pressure with going into the emergency room. I highly recommend it, and I think if you at least download the app and try it, you will not be disappointed.
All right, promotion considerations furnished by ZocDoc. Check them out. Now let's get back to some topics. Content creator Gucci third leg opened up about his extensive body count. He tweeted, "Yeah, I got 3,000 bodies. I love to bleep. And yeah, I get tested." What are your thoughts? And can you guys date someone with a massive number of body counts? Armand, I'm going to you first. What do you think about this one?
My thoughts is, he's an OnlyFans creator, so this is now a job for him, and he's semi-public figure, so men sleep around. It is what it is. So I'm not mad about that. A lot of people have like a high body count, and for me personally, I don't know if I need you to have 3,000 or if I even really want to know if it's that many. But however, if I'm going to be in a relationship with you, or if I'm going to be dating you, I need you to have a little bit under your belt. I need you to have some experience. I don't want somebody that is not experienced. I don't want somebody that's not had some freak stuff under their belt, because I need you to know when you're with me, you want to be with me. You're not here to, try it out. Then you want to go try it out with this one and try it out with that one. And then two, I need you to be open, because I might want to try some things out myself. And if you've experienced enough, then you might be with it.
So is there any number that would run you away?
At this point, though, I don't really ask. For me, it's if the whole city knows you, or then two, if I could, insert myself and there's no walls there. It's more of a feeling for me. So if it feels loose, if it feels like it's been ran through, certain things like that I can tell. Or here's the thing. And if you're too nasty on the first date, that usually scares me. You know what I mean?
What number makes your walls go away? Like,
I don't know. So it's just it's a vibe thing for me. So like, okay, if you're like, I don't really want to know the number. I'm engaged based on how freaky you are. So if we're messing around the first day, if you give it all to me the first time, then you too nasty. And you probably got a high number that's out of my league. But if you give me medium to mild, then I'm with it.
Okay, that's one perspective. Al, what you think about this, and what number would scare you away? Is there?
This is a tough question for me. I understand that he's a content creator, so the conversation to me can be different, because he has to make content. He has to make content, meaning he has to have sex, some form of sex every day to pay his rent, to pay for the car, to pay for his gas, to pay for his food. So in order to keep that going, he has to have sex. But outside of this is gross. to me. I think it's nasty. And when I hear those type of high body count numbers, I think you can't have sex that many times with that many different people without having a conversation surrounding diseases. I mean, HPV, HIV, that's why HIV is one of the highest increasing numbers in the African-American females than ever before. Syphilis, hepatitis B and C, all those things that could mess up your body, your liver, your heart. Like, I don't know. Body count is crazy. And you know, I'm a freak. I've been very transparent on this show about, you know, how freaky I am. But body counts to me resonates and says disease to me, saying that you don't care
you're
about
trying it.
your life.
You're bisexual, so that means you talk to men and women. Let me just talk from the men's perspective. Maybe you say you mess with a guy. You don't know. Maybe you're not that person, but men get around. So it's kind of like, you know what it is. You probably mess with somebody that had 3,000 people. And if they was really, really attractive, you ain't going to be like, what's
a 29-year-old with $3,000 body count. I don't care what you say to me on this line, sir. It's not cool. It's not cool unless they do OnlyFans, unless they are an escort, unless they do porn. It's not cool to me. It's not anybody that I would even want in my social circle, and it's not anybody that I would want to share my body with, because to me, I look at it as it's a disease host. He's a host. He's a super host of diseases. He has to be, unless every single person, even the woman, unless every single person they've had sex with, they've used a condom and they practice safe sex.
Yeah, let me ask this one last thing. I just feel like body count can be of many different things. Anytime you get naked with a person and have any sort of sexual experience, to me, that's body count.
Well, that's not how he defines body count. Okay. And I don't think most people define that as body count. Body count is sexual intercourse with another individual, which includes penetration.
Oh, you guys are saying the same thing, because like, wouldn't the body count be if you give an oral or if you having like penetration sex? Or I want to ask this. Al, you definitely talked about being a freak on the show, and I thank you for being open about that. Like, when you have like these group type of things, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what is there a conversation prior, or is it just like you're in the moment and you do it? Because I'm like wondering, like, who is like asking for test results and all that?
When you do swinger parties, there are rules. There are rules to swinger parties. They're like you have rules. You sign up. You usually find the community, because it's like a community. You find a community that is right for you. So for me, the communities that are right for me in the swinger zone are communities that are safe, for communities that are protected, and also communities that are very aware of who's in attendance. You don't just let anyone come to swinger parties. I mean, it's like a network, like I said. So it's not like it's a whole group of freaks that you send out a mass email or text and say, come have fun. No, nobody wants to be in that situation. At least I don't. But the ones that I participate in, you have to have protected sex. You have to follow the rules. There's certain things you can't do. The woman always has to be felt to be safe. Two men aren't allowed to go to the bathroom together. It's like there are multiple rules when it comes to those type of parties that you have to adhere to if you want to be a part of that community.
So you only have orgies and group sex when you're in those pre-screened, like, swinger
Hell
parties.
no.
Never
No,
just like
I
don't know what he's talking. I have no idea what he's talking about. But as I reference on this show, what I participate in as it relates to swinger parties, that's exactly how.
So let me ask you this: so whenever you getting or receiving oral sex, are you using dental dams and condoms the entire time too? Please lie.
It depends. It depends on who you're having it with. If you if you go to a party, because that's not how you behave, you can't project how you behave on somebody else. If you go to a swinger party and the rule is that condoms have to be used, Armand, unfortunately, that's what you have to do, or you can't be at that party. If you
Nobody's giving head with a condom.
Oh my gosh! So really?
Is anybody on this panel? Claudia, do you give head with a condom?
Never.
Like,
Claudia's not going to the swinger parties that I go to. So
absolutely not.
If you want to go to a swingers party where you don't have to use a condom, then go to those that you don't have to use condoms. Why are you guys beating me up for being safe? Actually, it's very tacky, and I find it like weird.
Beating you out, man. We're having this conversation.
It's weird. It's weird that you're trying to.
Just because you get beat up at that swinger party, don't mean you get beat up here. You ain't getting beat up here.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm just trying
trying to question my sexual behavior based on your behavior, and that is completely
It's just
ridiculous.
It's a joke, and I'm just saying it's just wild to me that you're with swinger parties and your threesomes and orgies, but then you're saying at every turn of the session, put a new condom on.
So Armand, if you don't like it, then don't. If you don't like it, don't go, brother. You're not.
No, it's not about not liking it.
You don't
I'm
have
just
to
saying,
go.
like,
I'm not my age, and I'm not without disease for no reason. I'm
Okay,
safe.
I'm gonna break up this
I'm
orgy
safe.
this
So
week.
what's the problem? Why is it a problem that I'm
They have
safe?
doxycrap.
Why would you ever create a space? Why would you ever create a space on this show to beat up on somebody who practices safe sex? I find that ridiculous.
Al Armand, I have to go to
I find
break.
that ridiculous. I find that ridiculous.
I find it ridiculous for not letting me go to break because you know I'm gonna get cussed.
Well, go to break.
Well, I'm trying to. Stop talking. Keep it locked because coming up next, damn, the orgies made people sensitive.
Not sensitive at all. Just ridiculous to be attacked for being safe.
No
That's
one's
ridiculous.
attacking you.
That's dumb.
No one's
That's
attacking
dumb.
you. No one's attacking
That's dumb.
you. You're in your own mind. No one's attacking you. We
No,
have to ask
I'm
playful
clearly not in my
questions.
own mind.
Okay, Al. All right, keep it locked because coming up next, airplane passengers are causing more trouble. And later, Simone Biles is fed up with people dragging her man. That's straight ahead when we return. We'll be right back. You know what?
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out.
We are chopping it up with the host of Marriage Bootcamp, Dr. Ish Major. Welcome to the show.
TGIF.
When you and I sit down and have a heart-to-heart with no phones, no distraction, am I your person? That's the question.
Every weekday.
Kelly says, I love Ish on my screen. Is he single asking for a friend?
Join the chat.
I am single, Kelly. Who's the friend?
Kelly, who's the friend? Please comment back.
On Fox Soul.
This one's for the real ballers and shot callers, the sisterhood of women in tech. They're discovering cures, building apps, and programming the blockchain. They're CEOs, worldwide hustlers who can make it rain. They're tearing down the old boys club and seeing big gains. Because when women in tech come together, you know they make that change.
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him. He's got to come home with me. Now I'm anything but lonely. Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
Welcome back to TGIF. All right, y'all, we see so many stories about passengers acting up on those flights. It is an epidemic. So we're going to take a deeper look at airline behavior, passenger behavior in fight or flight. All right, soulmates, make sure you drop a comment in the chat and let us know what you would do. All right, a woman was arrested after refusing to comply with emergency exit row instructions. The woman allegedly told the flight attendant that she understood the rules of the exit row, but would save herself before helping anyone else if an emergency did occur. They did ask if she would help out, and she did not give a verbal yes. She just nodded her head, and she said that should be enough. In this situation, would you fight and try to help convince this woman to comply, or would you flight and mind your business? Armand, you about to be at an airplane tomorrow, so what would you do in this situation?
I would have minded my business at first, but then that woman would have been carrying on like that, and I would have told her, ma'am, you just stopped up this whole plane being ghetto and being loud. You need to get up off this plane, because what you were supposed to do was just say yes, and we all know we get into those roles and say yes, and we know we really ain't gonna do it, but just say yes and move on. Why do you have to be so loud? Why you gotta be so ghetto? And why you gotta do too much? It's like these people be trying to put on a show, and it's unnecessary. So she would have irritated me.
people be trying to have their moment, and I would have definitely said, lady, come on, don't try to hold up our flight. People got layovers. And she definitely, everyone had to deplane because of her. Al, what would you do? Fight or flight? You helping or what you do?
Nah, I can't. I had to separate myself from that crazy woman. But listen, she was honest. She said, I'm going to save myself first. I think she just needed to be moved to a different seat.
They said she was joking at first, but you're not supposed to joke at that moment. Like, they're not really, no one's in the mood for any jokes on flights anymore. And we should know this. All right, a flight passenger was annoyed after the woman in her row refused to move to the empty row across from them, the passenger row. I suggested to this woman to sit in the row over there, and she didn't. So I stretched out. Was I wrong? What would you do in this situation? Fight or flight, Al?
I would have definitely fought, because you're not going to put your dirty feet or your stinky feet or even your feet anywhere close to me just because I did not move out of the seat that I paid for. If you wanted to go over to the other side, feel free. Why didn't that person go over there? But you're not moving me out of my seat and then going to stick your feet in my face. We're not doing that.
I don't see why the person didn't just go to the other row, because that's what I would do. I love to have a whole row because then I could lay down and sleep the entire time. Armand, what would you do? You fight?
Yeah, I'm that person. I'm around looking to see if it's not a full flight, I'm looking around to see where the empty row is at. You ain't got to ask me or tell me anything. And I'm not telling somebody else to go move. I'm going to get up and move. Now, if this woman would have put her feet on my face, I probably would have lost my mind. And I probably would have been going to jail, because I do not like feet like that. Don't put your feet on me. Are you crazy?
I cannot with feet. Sizzle Nation
Absolutely not.
She was trying to have her Rosa Parks moment. Okay. A pilot was forced to make an emergency landing after a fight broke out due to a passenger's constant farting. Passenger was reportedly obese and could not stop passing gas. After some time of constant farting, a fight broke out, causing an emergency landing. Now, police boarded the plane and removed the 4 passengers involved. What would you do in the situation if a passenger on your flight could not stop farting? And how do they know, right? Because I'm like, always, you smell it. You're like, who did it? It's someone around here. Armand?
I fart back. You want to battle? Listen, because sometimes on those planes, I'll be needing to fart and I'll be trying to hold it out of, to be, courteous. But listen, you want to keep farting by me? I'll show you, baby. You want to battle? Baby, I will fart you out your seat. So you just start putting back. Yeah, pay it.
So you're going to have a fart off?
Well, I have a fart off.
Okay, Al, what would you do?
I don't know what I would do. I think I would have to move. That's one thing I cannot stand, are like various body odors. I can't stay in those situations on long periods, whether it's feet, whether it's passing gas, whether it's body odor. I have to separate myself from it. So I definitely would flight. I would have to move. I would have to go.
This happened recently. I was on a plane and it was so bad the entire flight, but I couldn't pin down which person it was. And I wanted to get off and move to a different seat, but it was a full flight. So I was trapped and just had to breathe in the fart. It was disgusting.
So you should have farted back, and you at least could have smelled your own.
But that ain't probably no better.
Hey, but at the end of the day, you ain't got to smell no fat, probably clear obese fart. So on a full flight, all you can do is fart back. And then next time, I'm telling you.
Two wrongs don't make it right, Armand.
But it makes, if you out fart them, they'll stop, because then they'll try to figure out, okay, I got what's going on here.
Armand, Bougie Barbie says you just keep a few just in case farts, Armand.
Absolutely. Well, they're already there just naturally, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm on the, like as soon as I'm on the plane, it's like, oh my God, I got to fart, because I'm not supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Now, but if you want to do that, then baby, I've been holding this in. So let's go.
So glad tomorrow you're going to Mexico.
So I usually hold it though.
Aruba. You fought off on that plane all you want. All right, coming up next, Simone Biles is sticking beside her man. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
We are chopping it up with the host of Marriage Boot Camp, Dr. Ish Major. Welcome to the show.
TGIF.
When you and I sit down and have a heart to heart with no phones, no distraction, am I your person? That's the question.
Every weekday.
Kelly says, I love Ish on my screen. Is he single, asking for a friend?
Join the chat.
I am single, Kelly. Who's the friend?
Kelly, who's the friend? Please comment back.
On Fox Soul.
This one's for the real ballers and shot callers, the sisterhood of women in tech. They're discovering cures, building apps, and programming the blockchain. They're CEOs, worldwide hustlers who can make it rain. They're tearing down the old boys club and seeing big gains. Because when women in tech come together, you know they make that change.
My mom wanted my life to be better than what she had as a kid. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. You always want the next generation to have something better than what you had.
Welcome back to the show. All right, Simone Biles made it clear that she is tired of the internet disrespecting her husband, Jonathan Owens. Simone wrote, y'all are blatantly being disrespectful to my relationship and my husband. So I'm going to go ahead and say this one time respectfully. Bleep off. Someone replied, not now, girl. We dealing with Diddy. Someone else wrote, check your man before checking strangers online, boo. Do you think people are taking the trolling too far? Alice, go to you first.
Oh, absolutely. And let me tell you something. You can put the camera right here. Simone Biles, listen, sweetheart. When you're one of the best, most accomplished gymnasts and athletes in the world, you are a class that no one else can touch. Your resilience, you're a role model as you tackled mental health. Listen, we understand your story. You went from challenging beginnings to like a global star. You are that woman. And unfortunately, after listening to your life story and listening to you talk about it on that podcast that you did with that young lady, I get it. Sweetheart, you're going to have to get some tough skin because when you're better than everybody else, they're not going to embrace you. They're going to come after you. And that's what you are experiencing. Love your man, protect your man, and he should do the same for you and live your best life. Forget what these people are saying because when you're better, you're always going to get attacked.
Ain't that the truth? Now, the backlash sparked after Simone Biles' husband said he was the catch in their relationship. Lady T said Simone gonna get dragged when this dude make a fool out of her and started asking for $40,000 a month. I hope that never happens. And Yaya 502 said Simone needs to stop responding and mute herself like her husband. He never protects her online. Umar, what do you think about this?
I think that people should mind their own business. I feel like people are always so fake outraged and, oh my God, the woman should be the prize. If she feel like her man was the prize, the men are the prize in certain situations. Women are the prize. Everyone is the prize. He's the prize. She's the prize. They're married. Why do we care? If it's not bothering her, why does it bother you so much? At the end of the day, a lot of people that have a problem with it are single. She's married. So, let her man say that, he was the prize and she felt like he was the prize to them. I wouldn't be listening to a bunch of single or divorced people online telling me that my man shouldn't feel like he's the prize. He should feel like he's the prize because that's why he wants to marry me.
I think
the thing that I found out so interesting about her is she said before she went to the Olympics, she had, I'm making this up, but it's close to it, like maybe 1,000 followers. After she won all those goals, she woke up one day and on her phone, she had 1 million followers. Can you imagine the magnitude of those followers and them leaning into your life where before you only had 1,000? And I think she's still trying to figure out how to process that and handle that. Like she's a very giving, open, and she wants to incorporate everybody in. And in this case, young lady, you are cut above the rest and you can't do that if you want to protect your sanity.
Simone Biles, I think that the public is very protective of you because you are America's sweetheart and people love you. And it's not from a negative place. I think that I think it rubs a lot of people the wrong way when he said he was a prize. Because I said this before, anyone who says they're the prize, it almost is like a understood dig to the partner. It sounds like it. I wish they would both be prizes. Like I think he is the prize. He's a good looking, accomplished, athletic, successful, good-looking man. She's the most decorated gymnast in history. They're both prizes. So I think when he said it, it made people feel like, damn, you know. But I get it. And if they're happy, I'm happy. Chris Hoop says, ladies, don't lower your standards. The way Bill Burr talks about his wife is amazing. Same with Serena's husband, and he's the billionaire. All right. Yeah, you know, I think people are real protective over Simone. And, you know, I don't think it's coming from a negative place for the most part. But of course, there is some negativity out there. All right, y'all. We appreciate the soulmates every single night kicking it with us. And make sure you watch us repeat tomorrow. It comes on YouTube and all those 16 other platforms. We'd love you to rerun and watch it and run those numbers up. We appreciate the support. I want to thank my co-hosts, Al Reynolds and Armand Wiggins, for joining me tonight. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Like I said, run it on back again tomorrow. It repeats in your city. Stay tuned for Fox Soul's Face Off, where they go at it even more than we do. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. Have a good night, fellas.
Yeah, safe travels in this show.
Have a good night, soulmates.
You too.
Had a good time.
Yep, always.
Love you, Al.